Hi guys, happy Thursday, April 2nd. Yesterday, I did not try to recreate the Romeo and Juliet balcony scene. My husband would not act as Romeo. So hopefully you liked those video clips of the different actors interpreting that scene, and then you read and used the resources on the left, like on that website, My Shakespeare, to help you out. So as you saw and read, they have gone from just meeting each other at that party, and we're gonna, put aside our disbelief that, like, how could they not have met before? But okay. But anyway, they had just met that night, and this is, probably, maybe early morning that they're having this conversation, late at night, like maybe midnight or something. And they have agreed to secretly marry because they feel like that's their option. And, if you think to yourself, why are they doing that? Like, why don't they just chill out? Well, yeah, that's a good question, but it was any explanation I could give, it really is still incredibly impulsive and quick. But they are very young. They do have that feud. They're going to go to Friar Lawrence, who is their religious guide, and one of the people that Juliet would have permission to go to and talk to for help. And it seems to be one of those things like ask forgiveness later. Like maybe if they marry and it's done, then what can their parents do? They'll have to accept it. There's not really, they feel very like caged in, especially Juliet. And they feel this immense amount, these two characters, like they are meant to be, they are in love. And this is it. Okay, so if you could turn to page 65, Act 2, Scene 3. And before we get started, too, I want to point out, like, Romeo, this is going great for him. The last girl that he liked, as we've said before, told him that she was going to become a nun just to get him to stop asking her out. And here, this young, beautiful woman is equally enamored by him and is saying, listen, I don't normally do this, but if you want to get married tomorrow, tell me where to go. And so this is like a real glow up for him. Okay, Act 2, Scene 3, we are outside Friar Lawrence's cell. So when it says cell, that's just like where he lives. It doesn't mean like a cell as if in prison. So here we have, this scene starts with a soliloquy, and that is a monologue spoken by a character, which we get an insight into their thoughts and feelings. They're alone on stage and speaking almost as if to themselves. And we are going to have several of those to come. It's a Shakespearean term that we're going to get in all of his plays as you continue to read his plays. And if you think about it, where are people the most honest? What they say or what they think? And even if you're a pretty honest, straightforward person, you do filter a little bit. Now, Friar Lawrence's soliloquy isn't necessarily that scandalous, but we will have later on Juliet speaking her concerns and worries at a certain point in the play. So it can be really effective because you can't just have an actress or an actor stand on stage and not talk and just give facial expressions and the audience fully knows what their worries and concerns are. You have to let us know somehow as audience members what's going on in this character's mind. Okay, so Friar Lawrence comes on stage, and he is standing there and he's holding like a wicker basket, and he's been out gathering different flowers and things from like plants and things like that, because he makes little, teas and different things that could help. There's not like a Walgreens or a CVS you would go to. So he's collecting these things because he makes little, like natural remedies and stuff like that. The gray-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light, and fleckled darkness like a drunkard reels from fourth day's path and Titan's fiery wheels. Now ere the sun advanced his burning eye, the day to cheer and night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this austere cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. The earth, that's nature's mother, is her tomb. What is her barren grave? That is her womb. And from her womb, children of divers kind, we sucking on her natural bosom find. Many for many virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. So Friar Lawrence is talking about how Mother Nature, this world around us, provides all these different things for us. And the same place that is the grave, like underground, is also Mother Nature's womb that brings life to plants and all different parts of nature. Many for many virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. Oh, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in plants, herbs, stones, and their true qualities. For naught so vile that on earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. So he's kind of pondering, everything in nature has a purpose, and if it is used correctly, then, it could be a good outcome. But if it's misused, then that can be very bad. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometime by action dignified. So these are important 2 lines. Shakespeare's not just having Friar Lawrence up there rambling. There's a purpose for this soliloquy starting this scene. And so those 2 lines that we just read, lines 21 and 22, virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied. So something good can turn bad if it is misused or abused. And vice, sometime by action, dignified. So sometimes an evil deed can produce a good outcome. And it always makes me think of cops that go undercover, and they have to maybe do some things that are illegal to get the trust of, the bad guys. But ultimately, the goal is to bring justice and to fight crime. So, here we get this idea that good and bad is not as easy as just these 2 choices. It's more complicated. Sometimes something good can go bad, something bad could turn out ultimately being good. And so there's like this gray area, not just the black and white of good and bad. Now that idea will become important because this is a play with a lot of different secrets and plans, and people are going to take impulsive actions and make decisions that have consequences just like real life, but of course amplified here in Romeo and Juliet. So that idea is going to continue to develop. Okay, Romeo enters onto the scene. Within the infant rind of this weak flower, poison hath residence and medicine power. For this, being smelt, with that part cheers each part. Being tasted, stays all senses with the heart. So he's holding up this flower and he's like, this has poison, or it could be used as medicine. If you smell it, then that's good, and that's the way you use it correctly. But if you ingest it, it will kill you. So, this has bad and good in it. It's more complicated, just as I said. 2 such opposed kings encamp them still, in man as well as herbs, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant. So, even people have this good and bad in them, and what takes the majority rule is what can totally take over a person or, something in nature. All right. Romeo pops up. Good morrow, father. What early tongue so sweet salute me. So this is really early morning. Romeo has not gone to bed yet. He is just like riding high on this new love with Juliet and these plans that are happening and like his good luck. Young son, it argues a distempered head so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed. Care keeps his watch in every old man's eye, and where care lodges, sleep will never lie. And where unbruised youth with unstuffed brain doth couch his limbs, there golden sleep doth reign. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused with some distemperature. So like, are you okay? Because you're not usually visiting me this early. Or if not so, then here I hit it right. Our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight. That last is true, the sweeter rest was mine. God pardon sin, was thou with Rosaline? So he's shocked. He thinks like, oh my gosh, have you been out with Rosaline? With Rosaline, my ghostly father? No, I have forgot that name, and that name's woe. That's my good son. But where hast thou been then? Obviously, Romeo has talked about his big feels about Rosaline to Friar Lawrence, and that's why Friar Lawrence jumps to that conclusion, like this must be about Rosaline. He has no idea that now Romeo has jumped to Juliet. I'll tell thee ere thou ask it me again. I have been feasting with mine enemy. Where on a sudden one hath wounded me, that's by me wounded. Both are remedies within thy help and holy psychic lies. I bear no hatred, blessed man, for lo, my intercession likewise stays my foe. So he's like, I was at a party of my enemies, and somebody likes me, and I like them, and we need your help. Be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. Riddling confession finds but riddling shrift. He's like, this is confusing to me. What are you talking about? Then plainly now my heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine, and all combined save what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed, made exchange of vow. I'll tell thee as we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today. Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here! Is Rosaline that thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. He is chastising Romeo. He's like shocked. What are you talking about? You were just in here talking about Rosaline. Now you're jumping to Juliet and want to get married. Hold on. Hey, Sue Maria, what a deal of brine hath washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosaline. How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love that of it doth not taste. You've been in here crying all the time about Rosaline, and now you're talking about this? The sun not yet thy sighs from heaven clears. Thy old groans yet ringing in mine ancient ears. Lo, here upon thy cheek the stain doth sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. I can still see the stains of your tears from when you were crying about Rosaline. And art thou changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men. Thou chidest me oft for loving Rosaline, for doting, not for loving, pupil mine. So Romeo's like, you've been telling me to stop complaining and, feeling so sad about Rosaline. And Friar Lawrence says, no, it's not about loving Rosaline. It's for being like infatuated with Rosaline. And baddest me bury love, not in a grave to lay one in, another out to have. Friar Lawrence is thinking Romeo is moving too fast. I pray thee chide me not. Her I love now, doth grace for grace and love for love allow. The other did not so. There's times when Romeo and Juliet really show their younger age. Juliet, we know, is in 2 weeks going to be 14. Romeo, we don't get a specific age, but he's probably like 17, maybe 18. Like, he's not married yet, and he would be a you know, a good bachelor in the community. And so here Romeo's almost having like a little kind of toddler tantrum when he's like, but that one didn't love me and this one does. Oh, she knew well thy love did read by rote, that could not spell. And so Friar Lawrence is like, oh, she knew that your love for her was like love that had been learned, not truly understood. It was more, it wasn't like real. But come, young waver, come go with me. In one respect, I'll thy assistant be. For this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love. So Friar Lawrence is going to agree to marry them for one reason. He hopes that it will end the feud. Oh, lest us hence, I stand on sudden haste, wisely and slow. They stumble that run fast. So again, Friar Lawrence throughout all of this is saying, slow down, hold on. He does agree to marry them. And he has good intentions, Friar Lawrence, in agreeing to do that. But we'll see what that does for him. Okay, now we go to Act 2, Scene 4. We're not going to read all of Scene 4 today, but we'll get a little bit into it. And now we cut to Benvolio and Mercutio and the other guys that are separated from Romeo because he stayed at the Capulet place. Enter Benvolio and Mercutio. Where the devil should this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight? Not to his father's. I spoke with his man. Why, that same pale, hard-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him so that he will sure run mad. Tybalt, the kinsman to old Capulet, had sent a letter to his father's house. A challenge on my life. Romeo will answer it. Any man that can write may answer a letter. So now we get that. Meanwhile, Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, who wanted to fight Romeo at the party, has sent a letter challenging Romeo to a duel. And, you know, nowadays probably on Twitter, someone might write like, oh, I'll meet you by the baseball field at 4 and I'm going to beat you up. But Tybalt sends a letter. Any man that can write may answer a letter. Nay, he will answer the letter's master, how he dares being dared. Alas, poor Romeo, he is already dead, stabbed with a white wench's black eye, run through the ear with a love song, the very pin of his heart cleft with the blind bow boy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt? Why, what is Tybalt? More than prince of cats. Oh, he's the courageous captain of compliments. He fights as you sing prick song, keeps time, distance, and proportion. He rests his minion rests, 1, 2, and the third in your bosom. He, the very butcher of a silk button, a duelist, a gentleman of the very first house, of the first and second cause. Ah, the amore passato, the punto reverso, the hey, the what? The pox of such antic lisping, affecting phantasms, these new tuners of accent by Jesus, a very good blade, a very tall man, a very good, oh, why? Is not this a lamentable thing, grandchild, that we should be thus afflicted with these strange flies, these fashion mongers, these pardonnees who stand so much on the new form, that they cannot sit at ease on the old bench? Oh, their bones, their bones. Mercutio and Benvolio, they're making fun of Tybalt. They think he is full of himself, ultra fancy, thinks he's like better than everybody, that he fights very only concerned about, you know, how he comes off, how he looks, that he uses the right fencing moves. And they also, when they say that he's more of the prince of cats, oddly, I guess Tybalt was a popular name for a cat, so they're making fun of him for that reason too. Okay, we'll read a little bit more. Enter Romeo. Here comes Romeo, here comes Romeo, without his robe, like a dried herring, oh flesh, flesh, how thou art fishified. Now is he for the numbers that patriarch flowed in? Laura to his lady was a kitchen wench, Mary she had a better love to berhyme her. Dido a dowdy, Cleopatra a gypsy, Helen and Hero, Hildings and harlots. Thus be a grey eye or so, but not to the purpose. Signor Romeo, bonjour, that's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night. Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you? The slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive? So they're like, why did you ditch us last night? Pardon, good Mercutio, my business was great. And in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy. That's as much to say such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hams, meaning to curtsy. Thou hast most kindly hit it. A most courteous exposition. Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy. Pink for flower, right? Why then is my pump well flowered. Sure wit. Follow me this jest now till thou hast worn out thy pump, that when the single soul of it worn, the jest may remain after the wearing solely singular. Oh, single soul jest solely singular for the singleness. Come between us, good Benvolio, my wits faints. So this is a much different Romeo. And if you remember in Act 1, he said, like, this is not Romeo. I don't know who I am right now. This is like the other side of Romeo. And he's with his friends. He's joking around with them. Mercutio there is like, oh my gosh, come between us. Like, Benvolio, help me out because Romeo's brought his A game today. And so, you know, he's feeling so good, Romeo is, because he has this love. You can also, there's some rude jokes and stuff between them, and you can look if you want. And so, thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast not there for the goose. I will bite thee by the ear for that jest. Nay, good goose, bite not. Thy wit is a very bitter sweeting, it is a most sharp sauce. And is it not then well served into a sweet goose? Oh, here's a wit of Cheveril that stretches from an inch narrow to an elbow. I stretched it out for the word broad, which added to the goose proves thee far and wide a broad goose. Why is not this better now than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo. Now art thou what thou art by art as well by any nature, for this driveling love is like a great natural that runs lolling up and down to hide his bubble in a hole. Mercutio saying, Romeo, you're yourself again. Isn't this so much better than being so sad about a girl and like drooping around? Look at you. This is awesome. Stop there. Stop there. Thou desirest me to stop in my tail against the hair. Thou wouldst else have made thy tail large. Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was come to the whole depth of my tail, meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer. Here's goodly gear. And the nurse comes with her servant. We're going to stop there today. Tomorrow is like a teacher workday planning day, so I won't be posting anything for you guys. If you fell behind at all in any of our Act 2 videos up to now, or like in your reading, then go ahead and get caught up so we can continue on next week. And I miss you guys still. I hope you're doing well, and have a good weekend. Okay, if you need anything, just shoot me an email, questions, whatever, and I will see you soon. Bye.